meaning to make a YouTube video for a while. Like it's such a barrier to like get started with these things. So just gonna bite the bullet and start chatting. We'll see what comes up. I wanted to share before it gets too late in this journey a little bit about postpartum health, how I've been healing postpartum, what I found helpful throughout this whole process, and yeah, just give some sort of insights on that. So I'm about 5 months, almost 5 months postpartum now, so definitely out of that initial phase. Babe is already a little chunker and yeah, I mean, obviously there's a difference between the very initial part of being postpartum, from like basically every week. I feel like things just start changing and changing. Your body's changing so much, the baby's developing so much. So it's really, you kind of got to go with the flow each week and see what's happening. But I want to share just some things that I did that I feel like made the process super smooth. Overall, I feel like I had a really quick healing journey. Obviously that's going to depend a lot on like how your birth went, how your health is leading up to pregnancy and everything and all that. First things first, I feel like one of the key things about postpartum is your support network. And for everyone that kind of looks different. For me, my main support was my husband. We were really, I think that's like almost your partner who you're doing this with is going to play a big role in the whole process. And so for us, at least starting out, we decided that it was going to be important to make sure our lifestyle at this time wasn't going to be super stressful. So we made sure that, we could support ourselves within our means with less work, so that he could also take a good amount of time off and I could take a good chunk of time off. And so that was something that was really important and has been a huge factor, I think, in our dynamic at home and just making things easier. So my partner works about 3 days a week, and I'm just started working part-time, as of 3 months postpartum. But for me, it's very mild and basic right now. So it's not a huge demand, but yeah, having him available as well and being part of the journey, I think has been super beneficial. It feels like not everything is just on me, and I notice a huge difference in terms of the days of when I'm completely alone with the baby versus when he's around too, or just having support. Obviously, not everybody can have that dynamic, I understand. So in that case, I feel like it is important to get support in other ways, whether that's from, family members that can come help support you, friends, or even hiring help at times can be really helpful because you just sometimes need a little bit of a break. You sometimes need also other humans around that are not babies. I feel like it can kind of get a little bit tiring sometimes, just like playing baby talk and playing with a little squeezy toy. So yeah, that's something that's been super important for us. And within that, I feel like your relationship with your partner is so important. Like how strong you are in your relationship. I feel like for us, things have only strengthened from being parents together, but I could so see how things start to get messy, things start to be a bit more challenging. There's just a lot going on. You're sleep deprived, you've got a lot to manage. When you have a baby, sleep is something that's going to go out the window, especially in the early stages. Like you're not going to be getting much sleep. Like you have to wake up every few hours to feed the baby. And it progressively gets better and better over time, but it doesn't necessarily feel easier, I would say, because basically you're still, you're hoping it's going to get better, but then it's a good night happens and then a bad night happens. So for us, we're still sometimes waking up multiple times in the night, even at 5 months, to either soothe him back to sleep, feed him in the night. So that definitely takes a huge toll over time. And the way I kind of cope with that is going to bed, lengthening the duration of time that I am able to sleep. So sometimes I'm even going to bed at 8 p.m. if I'm really tired. Usually he'll get his longest stretch of sleep in the early part of the night. So if I can also capitalize on that and get a good sleep window in at that point, then that can make a huge difference in how I'm feeling the rest of the day. The other thing we do is we will like rotate. We have 2 bedrooms, and so we will rotate who is in the room with the baby at the time. And that just helps because not every time he wakes up he needs to feed. So yes, I have to be there to like do the feed most of the time, but in the early newborn phase, like babies make a lot of noise, just like grunting, farting, that is not actually them, you know, needing something, but they're just making a lot of noise, which can make it hard for you to sleep even with like a white noise machine on. And so we would split up so that, you know, one person was in the room at that time, and then the other person could be in another room and get like maybe 2 hours, 3 hours of uninterrupted sleep. And we kind of continued that and kind of go back to it when things get bad. We've had like things going really well and then all of a sudden having like a setback again. So that's worked well for us. And now that he's getting older, the stretches are getting longer, which means sometimes, you know, we even get like 6 or 7 hours before he's needing another feed again. So that's made it all the more better. But I would say those 2 things, the going to bed early, and then if you have like another space that you can sleep in, and sharing the load with your partner can make a really big difference when you're just navigating those days where they're waking up and they're making all the noise. Another thing I really feel like I had to do since this postpartum period is just reducing the kind of pressure that I put on myself, or like remind myself that what I used to be able to do, I'm no longer really able to do that in a day. Like even if I can, you know, get a load of laundry in, get the dinner made, and like even just hitting some of the basics in the day can feel like such a good accomplishment, that I've really just been like, okay, things that are not necessary right now or are not super important, like they're just not gonna happen right now, and that's okay. There will be another period in my life where I do have time to do them. So sometimes that means even like starting something and then being like, okay, this is not feeling right, it's feeling super stressful, gonna park it, it's not necessary right now. And even like little things that have helped me just like even get done the basics are ordering groceries. So I learned that you can order like Uber Eats groceries. So I pretty much for December and January, I didn't even go to the grocery store. For one, it's just so cold here that like getting out wasn't like an enjoyable thing. And I'd prefer to have my outing be something fun as opposed to like the grocery store. So that was super helpful, and I could just order things, plan it at home. It would show up at my door, and then, you know, we're freshly stocked again. So finding those kind of like little hacks was super helpful. We put the babe down. Yeah, you wanna watch me? So talking about groceries, let's talk a little bit about nutrition, postpartum nutrition, what I've kind of been focusing on, what I feel like is important during this time. So if you are breastfeeding, I've been solely breastfeeding throughout the 5 months so far. And so you really realize how much extra energy you need to consume, like how many more calories you need to just like keep up your energy levels. So that's been something I've been really working on, like trying to have like an extra meal basically every day. And I notice a big time when I don't meet my nutrient levels, or I'm not getting enough calories, I'll feel really dizzy and low energy, just like not feeling my best. So been focusing on just consuming some like really energy dense foods, like having like cheddar cheese around, almond butters, nut butters, other like walnuts, nuts and seeds, avocados, all those kind of like high calorie foods. And then I also eat a lot of protein. Like I'm very focused on getting my protein at each meal. So usually for breakfast, I'm having several eggs, some Greek yogurt. And then for lunch or dinner, I usually pick like chicken, beef, fish, some sort of tofu or something as my protein. And then I build my meals around that. That's something I've always kind of done, but I feel like postpartum, it's even more important because your protein requirements also go up with just your energy requirements increasing as well. And then taking my supplements. I really notice on days when I don't take my prenatals. So you can keep on taking prenatals throughout postpartum. They just cover basically your basic nutrient intake, really good for like supporting your iron levels, and other just like baseline nutrients that you need as you continue throughout postpartum. So I take that as well as an omega-3 supplement, because that we actually know can transfer into the breast milk and be really good for the baby's brain development. In addition to keeping up your food intake, it's also really important to stay hydrated and drink a lot of water, which is something I haven't been as good at, I feel. I don't know why. But yeah, I feel like try to remind yourself. Already you do feel more thirsty with breastfeeding, but I do feel like for some reason I just forget to drink water right now. As a mom, things are pretty much full on with you all day. Like it's really hard to find time to be alone, and time to like recharge, reduce your stress. So I try and like pack in at least one or two things a day that I feel like I really need. I feel like it's different for everyone, but for me, taking like a warm bath at night in the dark with a candle, I don't really like, I wouldn't bring TV in or anything, just like purely sitting alone with my thoughts is how I recharge at the end of the day. It just makes me feel, get so excited for my bath, and it just makes me feel so good. So I've been leaning on that mostly every day. Initially, postpartum, you can't take baths, so I would do a shower instead. But once I got the A-OK for the bath, that's been my thing. Secondly, trying to incorporate some movement in. So initially I did just really gentle like breathing exercises, pelvic floor therapy. And then as that's progressed over time, I'm able to do much more movement-based stuff, which I feel just like really adds so much energy to my day. So that's another kind of me time exercise that I feel like I'm carving out as much as I can, just to have like those little breaks. And I know doing those things will really carry into being a better mom and just like being a better person to be around during this time.